Okay, to try and find my way back to finding this hidden symbolism of myrrh, I decided to start where you would expect, at the Nativity. So myrrh appears 3 times in the New Testament. First in the Nativity, in the Gospel of Matthew, which is where the story of the 3 kings comes from. Then also when Jesus is on the cross, somebody offers him myrrh, and then the myrrh bearers, the myrrhophores, embalm his body to prepare it for burial with myrrh. So the thing that you need to perhaps understand about the Gospel of Matthew is it's written by somebody who really understands Jewish law and history very, very well, but also that he has an agenda. And the undercurrent all the way through his gospel is this is to prove that Jesus is the Messiah and fulfills the prophecy. So all the way through you have like this hidden sort of prophecy, and there's 3 of them at the story of the Nativity. So incidentally, the angels, for instance, are not in the same story. They're a different story in the Gospel of Luke. So at the in Matthew, it's the kings that come. And first of all, there is a prophecy that says in Micah that when the Messiah does come, he will be born in a really insignificant town in Judea called Bethlehem. Then in the book of Isaiah, we hear how when the Messiah comes, he will be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Servant, the Prince of Peace. And in Isaiah 60, you have a little verse that says, herds of camels will cover your land, young camels of Midian and Ephah, and all from Sheba will come, bearing gold and incense, and proclaiming the praises of the Lord. And then the bit that we're going to investigate today is there is another body of text that says, and these were part of a prophecy that said that gold, frankincense and myrrh would come all the way from the Garden of Eden to the Nativity. So that's what we're going to think about today. But the first thing to understand is the most accepted interpretation of what the gold, frankincense and myrrh meant has stayed the same since the 2nd century. So a man, one of the early church fathers called Origen of Alexandria, had explained the meaning to people who were thinking of converting to Christianity. And he'd said, well, the gold is as to a king, the myrrh as is to someone who is mortal, remember that, and frankincense as to a god. Now I quite like that, this idea that God, king, mortal, all of the same thing, that kind of like sat happy with me. But then I thought, no, that still doesn't really tell me that much about the properties of this magical thing, this myrrh. So I dug deeper and I found this whole collection of texts which scholars and the church and everybody know about and accept, apocryphal texts, so they are religious from the time but not included in the Bible. And this collection is known as primary Adam literature. In other words, it's literature about Adam and Eve, and primary because it's from the time. So there are lots of different documents that are classed under the Adam literature. So we'll just start with 2 to begin with. And these date from the 3rd to the 5th century. Lots of different versions of it have been found over the years. And these are called the Life of Adam and Eve and the Apocalypse of Moses. And these pick up at where Genesis leaves off, really, that Adam is expelled from the garden. So these talk about what happened when he was expelled from the garden and fill in the hidden years of Adam and Eve's life. So in them, first of all, we hear from Satan, and Satan gloats that, well, this was his plan because he was really not very happy that God told him, you must bow down before Adam. And he went, do you think so? And he brought a plan. So that's the first thing. The next really interesting thing when you read them is that you hear a lot from Eve and about how she feels about her part in the fall, but also her journey into motherhood, and then also her death. But the thing that we're most interested in today is a promise from God to Adam that despite the transgressions with the tree of knowledge, which means that now man must die, the promise is that one day the descendants of Adam will receive a resurrection. So a text called The Conflict of Adam and Eve and Satan tells about how Adam is just desolate about being expelled from the garden. And wait,